If you can survive cold calling, Upwork feels easy. Not because the clients are nicer, but because the rules of selling become very clear. Today I'm breaking down the exact system I use to close high dollar Upwork clients. And it all started with cold calls. I spent nearly 1 year doing cold calls. You can see some of these in my older YouTube videos. And while I've mostly put aside cold calling, since I got tired of people flaking and limited access to high-end clients, I do think it helped me immensely when it comes to learning to sell on Upwork. In this video, I'll go over the exact system that I use to close expensive jobs on Upwork, and how what I learned from cold calling can massively help you close customers on the platform, even if you're a beginner. If you want the exact sales scripts for my discovery calls, my closing calls, as well as my pricing strategies, join the Upwork Academy on School. In this community, I also have courses on selling SEO and AI to get you making money and closing deals quicker. Basically, I made myself look like a total ass on closing calls, so you don't have to. Now let's get into it. This video will start with general principles and then go down towards practical things you could do and say during your closing calls to make more sales. But if you don't understand the basics, a single line or two is not going to help you close more deals. And now into the first part of this video. This will go over principles and framing. If you can implement this first principle, I guarantee you'll double your sales in no time. This first principle is speed. Speed always wins no matter what. This relates to everything as far as how fast you respond to the client, how quickly you can set up a meeting with the client, how quickly you deliver results to that same client. Even if you're awkward or not the most technical, if you respond immediately and deliver results immediately, you will get more jobs. Just a little example, say it's the middle of the night and a pipe bursts in your house. You call 3 plumbers. First one doesn't answer. Second one says they'll be there in 2 hours. The third one says they'll be there in 10 minutes. Who are you going to go with? The point is speed can beat out competition, even if the competition beats you in other areas. Now, the second principle may be elusive, especially if you're a bit of an introvert, like me, but this is just acting or appearing normal. Don't be pushy, overly salesy, or needy. The truth is probably 85% of the clients don't want your services, have someone else in mind, or just flat out don't like you. And that's totally okay. So you have about a 15% margin to work with, and that's where you could win. The way you do that is by not leaving any glaring holes in the way you present yourself or your sales pitch. The most common holes I've seen are not seeming professional and not seeming like you're capable of delivering. Plus, the way you can appear more normal is by briefly speaking about something not related to the sale or the service you're offering. Only a poorly programmed robot is going to constantly try to pitch the same thing over and over again and only talk about that thing on a sales call. Some easy ways you can do this is break the conversation up by asking what area they're based out of, apologizing in advance if they hear your dog, mentioning a quick joke about your wife. There are also some specific, slightly self-depreciating tactics that I use when speaking to clients. These have been very successful, and I'll get this later on when we go over the exact lines to include in your sales pitch. Now, the third principle is assuming the close. This may seem very cliche and is very popular, but give me a second. A potential customer is constantly examining whether or not you could actually deliver what you're saying, along with, examining how full of shit you are. This also speaks to neediness and appearing normal. Before getting a sales call, I think it's helpful to kind of reframe your mindset and kind of remind yourself of all your previous successes and how you can deliver results and have in the past. The goal is to act like this is everyday conversation for you, and if you don't get this sale, it won't be the end of the world. I know it's easier said than done. This is one of the reasons I find most of my clients on Upwork, because once you hit a certain point on Upwork with enough experience and credibility and reviews, customers are more willing to work with you, plus customers on Upwork will come to you once you get a top-rated badge or a top-rated plus badge. So yeah, this is a little bit of faking it until you make it. I think Upwork makes it easier to fake it. The fourth one involves delivering unique insight. If you can actually provide your client with some unique insight to their competitors, their website, or changes they can make immediately, giving that value early is a very good sign to your customer that you actually can deliver real results. Again, the way you can do this is by looking at their competitors and letting them know what their competitors are doing that they're not. People always like hearing about the ways they can beat their competition. For example, one of their competitors has a chatbot and they do not. One of their competitors has more reviews. If they're doing something different, highlight that and mention that in that discovery call. And principle number 5, I know this seems like it's at odds with the first principle, but be patient. Again, the less needy you seem, the more likely you're going to get the sale in the long run. My first monthly retainer client off Upwork took about 3 months to actually close. They agreed to work with me, and then 3 months later, finally paid me. They had constant issues on their end, whether it was their site being hacked, their leadership being changed, etc. I just waited, and eventually they gave me the deal. The point is, if I was constantly spamming and hounding them for an update, would that make them more likely willing to work with me? Now we have specific things you can do to close your clients easier. These, again, will go from more general to more specific. So as a general rule, on any sales call or discovery call, let them talk more than you. They don't really care what you have to say. Just let them talk. Right when you get on the call, ask them, hey, what can I do for you? What are you guys dealing with? Let them just go for as long as they want. Everyone likes hearing themselves talk. No one wants to hear you babble on about the technical side of things. Plus, the odds that you'll say something that will make you lose the sale is higher if you speak more. The second is create a standard list of discovery call questions that you can ask them that you can keep up on your screen during the call. You can then use these answers later on when you actually give them a quote and try to close. For example, for SEO, I might ask them something like, have you worked with someone previously in SEO? What was the outcome and what were they offering? Then I might later bake those same deliverables into my SEO offer. Now, these are the exact lines you could use and things you would do when you're closing. This is how to deal with objections and actually to get them to give you money. The specific ways I learned to close from cold calls is not doing a hard close. I know this might seem odd ends with other salespeople, but I don't believe doing a hard close is the best way to start up a long-term mutually beneficial relationship. I've done hard closes in the past, but I feel like they never paid off for me. I might close a client, and if I put too much pressure on them, they may feel taken advantage of, a little anxious about it. They may pay me for 1 month, but my goal is to get clients stay with me for months on end and pay me every single month consistently. The overall tone of a hard sales call is just kind of gross and not really ideal for either person. The next item I include in all my sales calls is I try to offer something for free. If you let your clients speak enough, they're going to talk about a lot of issues. Some of them are in your wheelhouse that you can solve. Some of them aren't necessarily things you offer frequently. But many times you'll hear them mention a specific pain point or go over a specific issue that you can solve. So if this issue isn't too much work, I like to mention that, hey, if you join on today, I could throw in that issue, that pain point for free. Some examples in SEO, a client may want me to optimize their Google business profile, do a quick audit of their other site. I'll throw those small things in for free because they won't take me much time to do, and it also kind of builds credibility and I give them value early. It also kind of builds goodwill for the client if I could do something for free. So instead of a hard close, I kind of guide them to making a decision on their own. I can present my quote and then follow up with a line like, does that quote make sense for you? This leaves things more open and fluid. It doesn't feel like I'm pressuring them into anything, but also brings up the fact that I am trying to close this today. And if objections come up, some ways I've dealt with them are by offering a guarantee. A guarantee is like a safety net. People love hearing that you're going to offer something with a guarantee or a money back or free work. For example, in SEO, I might say, if we don't see results by month 5, I'll throw in a free month of work. The other thing is mentioning that there is no binding contract. People hate contracts these days. I know it's a way to guarantee money for you, but if you get someone into a binding contract, it kind of leaves a nasty taste in their mouth. So I'll mention this is not a binding contract. You can cancel anytime that you like. Just give me 1 month's heads up. And then finally, mention you offer a full refund, no questions asked. If you do good work and you stand by it, offering a refund shouldn't be a problem. Lastly, there may be times where a client gets sticker shock when you mention your prices. My general strategy for this is that I say something like, I know I'm a terrible salesman, but you seem easy to work with. If this quote doesn't make sense for you, please feel free to shoot it back. I promise I won't be insulted. Basically, I always send them a high bid, and I'm willing to come down a little bit if they agree to work with me. So even if I knock off a couple $100, I'm still happy with the close, and I think the deal is worth it for me. So cold calling will teach you a couple things, but the goal is still the same. It is connecting with them immediately, learn about the business pain points, and tailor your offer with a guarantee or full refund, and make it so good that it'd be crazy for them to say no. The reason why Upwork works is because you have built-in credibility. So if you've been doing cold calling or you want to avoid cold calling, I recommend Upwork as a better option for introverts and people who don't want to pick up the phone. Now that you got a basic idea of my sales process, the next thing is learning how to do proposals, and I cover that in that video here.